All right, everybody. Happy Monday. Today's Monday, right? Yes. Happy Monday. I'm so excited and so honored to be on this call with you guys. My name is Gabriela Idam. I live in Miami, Florida. I am a mom. I have a 7-year-old boy that I just put to bed. And I've been with Q for a year, and this has been literally the best year of my life, but it has come with challenges. And just recently, I was at corporate for a leader fly-in, and I was sitting across the table from Jake Spencer, okay, our president, and he was talking and he said, if you guys are ever going to read a book, make sure you read Who Moved My Cheese. And I was like, I have never heard of that book before. Drop a 1 if you have never heard of Who Moved My Cheese. Okay, I was like, that's an odd title for a book, but if Jake says that I need to read it, I'm going to read it. So I went into my phone, I got it on Audible, and I was like, I'm flying next week. I want to hear it while I'm on my flight. I had no idea what this book was going to be about. I just knew that I had to read the book. Okay. And when I was on my flight, I was so grateful because this book was all about dealing with change in your life and in your business. And I don't know about you guys, but I am not one that really enjoys changes. It's always been kind of difficult for me to accept changes. They're not always good, right? Especially when we're expecting something and it doesn't go our way. Drop a 1 if you don't really love change. I know I can't be the only one. Yeah, you guys know, right? Okay, so here I am on this flight listening to this book, and the story that I was able to read on this book literally changed my life. I got off of my flight and I texted Jake Spencer and I said, hey, thank you so much for sharing this book with me, because I remember thinking how good this story was and how helpful it would be for me that moment on. Okay, so I want to share with you guys some key components of this story, because I'm actually going to give you an overview and I want you guys to follow along. Because if you follow along with this story, you are going to see all the ways that you can implement this in your life. Okay, so first things first, Who Moved My Cheese is a story about change that takes place in a maze where 4 amusing characters look for cheese. Okay, cheese being the metaphor for what we want to have in life. That can be a job, a relationship, money, a big house, freedom, health, recognition, spiritual peace, or even an activity like working out. Each of us has our own idea of what cheese is, and we pursue cheese because we believe it's what makes us happy. Okay, the maze in the story represents where you spend time looking for what you want. This can be your current organization, it can be your church, etc. Okay, and believe it or not, this little story has been credited for saving careers, marriages, and lives. So I'm going to go ahead and share this story with you guys. Long and far ago, 2 mice and 2 very small people lived together in a large maze where they search for cheese. The mice, Sniff and Scurry, find a big stash of cheese nearby. And the little people, Hem and Haw, also locate plenty of cheese, and they all settle in to enjoy the bounty. The mice keep their running shoes close by and do a daily check of the station for any changes, the cheese going bad or running short, while the humans store away their shoes, put on their slippers, they get cozy, and they simply enjoy their pile of cheese. One day, both types of cheese run out. The mice who saw it coming immediately put on their shoes and began to search the rest of the maze for more cheese. Sniff smells where a new supply might be, and Scurry runs quickly to that area. Soon, they find a huge stash of cheese and begin to enjoy it. Hem and Haw, meanwhile, are shocked that their cushy life came to an end. Hem is angry and believes they're entitled to their cheese and should wait for the others to return it. Haw isn't so sure and wonders if they should maybe search the rest of the maze to look for new cheese, but Ham refuses to budge. After many hungry days, realizing that the cheese won't simply reappear, Haw finally heads out, scared and lonely, to search the maze for more cheese. Haw soon finds bits and pieces of cheese here and there. Despite the feelings of fear and confusion, Haw finds that the search is an invigorating adventure and not at all a disaster. As insights occur, Haw writes them on the walls of the maze, hoping Hem finally will venture out and use the notes as guides. One day, Haw finds the giant cheese stash where Sniff and Scurry now live. Overjoyed, Haw settles in, but is careful to keep the running shoes nearby in case this batch of cheese runs out. Haw also takes daily tours of the cheese station, checking for moldy cheese or other signs of impending trouble, and takes regular trips along the maze to get familiar with the area to prepare for the day that he needs to go out and find more cheese. I know you guys are probably like, why is she talking about cheese? Okay. But this book, I'm not kidding, it's like a less than a 2-hour read. If you guys want to change your lives, you want to read this book or you want to listen to it on Audible, but that was a summary. But what I love the most about the story is the lessons that Haw learned throughout his journey, because I truly identified with so many of them and I want to share them with you guys. So number one, wow, I love how I went to the last one. Number one, as amazing as it is to find cheese, which in business can mean hitting a new rank, enrolling a new ambassador, finding a runner, right? The things we're all searching for, we can't just take off our running shoes and put them away so that we can sit and enjoy the newly found cheese, because things happen, changes come, people quit, and we have to keep our shoes close. Number two, as scary as it was when the cheese disappeared, instead of wasting time crying over it, stressing over it, thinking it's unfair, expecting the cheese to just reappear just because, or getting paralyzed by the fear of having to get back in the maze, ask yourself, where am I more likely to find cheese? Here or in the maze? It's a confusing maze and it's a challenge, but being back in the maze hunting for cheese wasn't nearly as bad as he feared it would be. Number three, smell the cheese often so that you know when it's getting old. In the story, Haw realizes that the change probably wouldn't have taken him by surprise if he had watched what was happening all along. In the story, it talks about how every day there was less and less cheese, but they weren't even paying attention. They were just there expecting the cheese and eating the cheese. So from now on, he would anticipate the change and be ready to adapt to it. Jake always talks about the importance of tracking your enrollments, tracking your subscriptions, tracking event tickets, tracking the people that are coming in and hitting Build Your Pro Executive within their first 2 months, right? You guys have heard him talk about that. That has been something that literally he has just put in my brain. And when I read this book, I was like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. If you are not tracking, you can't even see when your business is declining. You can't see when things are changing around you. So that is why he is so big on the importance of tracking. Tracking in your business will allow you to notice the small changes early so that you can adapt to the bigger changes to come. Number four, imagining yourself enjoying new cheese even before you find it leads you to it. And old beliefs do not lead to new cheese. At first, in the story, Haw, just like him, believed that the cheese would just reappear. They kept coming back to the station every single day just to find that nothing had changed, but they were expecting different results. Until one day, he realized no one was going to come back with more cheese. When you move beyond fear, you feel free. And the quicker that you can let go of old cheese, the sooner you find new cheese. A lot of times we get caught up on the nose, right? Especially if it's someone that we really want to do business with. Oh my God, if I could just do business with Lisa, oh my gosh, this would change my business. but Lisa says no. Or sometimes we get discouraged if the people in our business leave or they slow down. I went to New York this past weekend and I was sitting in the car with my friend Danielle. We were on our way to an event and she was like, you know, when I went up to a leadership training with Jake, I remember we were all sitting in the living room floor and we were all excited. Like we had all just hit these new executive plus and elite plus ranks. And he looked at us and said, in a month, half of you won't be here. In 2 months, 75% of you might not even be in queue anymore. And she was like, Gabby, I couldn't believe it. I looked around the room. I told Zori, who was next to me, I was like, can you believe that? Like, I just can't imagine like us not being here. If that surprises you, you need to understand that that will happen. And you will see that at some point in your businesses, especially entering a recession where people are desperate for money. I've heard Jake talk about this. I think, Lisa, what? Like we were probably like 3 months into Q. Jake was already talking about this. A recession is coming. A recession is coming. When recessions come, people become desperate and they're looking for ways to make money. Network marketing actually booms during these times because the people that already have careers, lawyers, doctors, they're looking for ways to increase their income because their current income doesn't cut it. So we're in the right place. But what I want you guys to understand from that is that they see this coming a long time before it gets here. And the momentum, the incentives, the events, the product launches, the comp plan enhancements, all of it is planned for such times as these. Have you guys not seen everything that Q has done over the last couple of months? The way that they've strategically planned, I don't even know how many product launches, the comp enhancements, comp plan enhancements, the new ranks that are added. Q plans their momentum and they're not surprised when things like this happen. So now, maybe as we went through some of these, you felt like you could identify, maybe like me, you felt like you've made some of these mistakes before and you could have saved yourself a lot of trouble and stress. But the most important thing to learn, or the most important thing is to learn from them. And the best way to change is to laugh at your own folly. This was a quote that they said in the book. And I was like, I remember before reading it, I was like, okay, like I identify so much with Ha, like, how can I change? How can I be better? How can I better prepare? And he said, the best way to change is to laugh at your own folly. Then you can let it go and quickly move on. Ha learned from Sniff and Scurry, who kept life simple and didn't overanalyze, that when the situation changed and the cheese had been moved, they changed and moved with the cheese. Sometimes that no is a blessing in disguise. Don't get stuck on it. Lace up your shoes, get out into the maze and find more cheese because it's out there and it's not as scary as you fear. We know it's not easy, but nothing worth having ever really is. And when you find that new cheese, remember, you can sit and enjoy it, but keep your running shoes close because change is inevitable. But your ability to get ahead by anticipating the change, monitoring the change, and adapting to the change is what will ensure you will always have cheese at your table. That's all that I have for you guys tonight. But I want to leave you with this. If you're in a season where change is happening, know that it's inevitable. It's going to happen time and time again in your business, in your life. But there are things that you can do that fall within your control to get ahead, to be able to ensure that you have cheese at your table. So thank you guys so much for hopping on. Loved being able to share with you guys tonight, and let's keep killing it. Love you guys.